Okay, we are live. Hi, this is William Ramsey. Welcome to William Ramsey Investigates. On today's show, I have a very special guest, returning guest. His name is Todd Wood, Wood, and he's on Killafornia,
Yep.
which is with Walter Bosley, and we've done many shows. I was trying to figure out the actual amount of pre-show, but we're close to 20.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the stuff we're going to talk about today is going to overlap with some of the older shows. We did one on Herd. I'm going to show his picture here. This is the guy we did a show. He's kind of a lesser known serial killer, but this guy was a stone cold Satanist
Yeah.
of really the blackest stripe, like a really dark person. And some of these in that time, California is really important in a way because it shows Todd shows a larger tapestry of what was going on in California in a very short span of time. In like 2 years, you had like Herd and some of these other, and Manson killings and all these other things, strange things happening all over the state. Something was going on in the state, and this is the apex of kind of like the American serial killer that like ramped up and then somehow for some reason declined. But this was during that, and California was a bloodbath. There's no question about it. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about something like a title a lot of people haven't heard, the Grand Chingon, and Todd can talk more about that. But this kind of mysterious figure that's talked about in different things. I was doing some research and came across stuff. Todd has a Patreon where he goes in detail about it. But it's also, are there Chingons too, which is even scarier, is that they're higher groups. And it kind of brought to mind my research into the West Memphis 3, because in the West Memphis 3, there was so many stories from multiple parties, but this guy, Alvis Clem Bly, made a statement, never made it into court. It never made it into the documentary or the mockumentaries. But he talked about the kind of environment, the ritual environment. And also that there was a guy named Lucifer who was he was just a name, kind of like a Chingon, but like a nickname. And they never found out who that guy was in the West Memphis 3. But it just showed that the environment these people were connected and overlapped.
Yeah.
I think that's what Killafornia really kind of goes into. Todd talks about that. But Todd can talk more about everything in his research. So Todd Wood, welcome back to the show.
Hey, I'm really glad to be here. This is going to be a fantastic show. But I want to start off by saying a lot of the source material for our talk tonight will be at the Killafornia Patreon page. That's patreon.com/C/Killafornia. And maybe William will leave a link in the show description or something.
I will do my best to do that. So I'll put a link to it again. And okay. It's Patreon Killafornia, /Killafornia.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
So before we can get into who the Grand Chingon was or is or who they are, we need to talk about Stephen Craig Hurd. I know we've already done an episode on this, but I just want to do a little bit of a recap. Stephen Craig Hurd fits the profile of a killer that probably should have been in the book Programmed to Kill by Dave McGowan. He checks all the checks all the marks and all that. And on say June 2nd and June 3rd, him and his posse, a biker gang, although none of the members of this biker gang owned any motorcycles, known as the Sons of Satan, in Orange County, more specifically Santa Ana, went on a 2-day killing spree where they killed Jerry Wayne Carlin, a Richfield service station attendant. And then the next day, they carjacked and murdered a woman, an El Toro school teacher by the name of Florence Nancy Brown. Now, that murder is a satanic murder. They killed her for her car, or they killed her because, she was making fun of Stephen Craig Hurd. But what they did, how they mutilated the body afterwards, is what makes it a satanic murder. When they extracted her ribs, her lungs, her heart, and her right arm, and some meat from her thigh. But the heart is the most important thing. Stephen Craig Hurd in his 1975 trial told jurors and spectators in the the courtroom that he ate half the heart and the other half he put it in the center of a upside down pentagram made of ash and cigarette paper, scrap paper and cigarette ashes. And then he lit the heart on fire along with the station wagon. Now, Stephen Craig Hurd is probably the most open about Satanism, theistic Satanism. You're probably not going to find another killer who's as open about, worshiping the devil. He was initiated into the 4-Pi movement in Chino's youth training schools, YTS, by a biker, another young biker named Robert Stevens. And when Stephen Craig Hurd got out of prison or the training school, he was invited to his first 4-Pi gathering on November 9th, according to Michael Newton in his book, Raising Hell, an Encyclopedia of Satanic Crime. Interestingly enough, November 9th coincides with an Aztec festival, which name escapes me. Those names are very hard to pronounce. But at this 4-Pi gathering, he witnessed a human sacrifice of a woman who he claims was willing, where they extracted her heart, just like later in 1970, 2 years later, Stephen Craig Hurd would do to Florence Nancy Brown. Now, the cultists ate the heart, of course. Now, the person presiding over this cult was someone he referred to as the Grand Chingon, the leader of the cult. Of course, Ed Sanders, he speculates that theorizes that there might have been multiple Chingons because Charles Manson was referred to as the Grand Chingon in his presence multiple times, when he went to go talk and interview Manson for his book, The Family. Now, according to Hurd, this Grand Chingon had red hair and was a large man named Robert Erickson, like Leif Erikson. Now, also according to Hurd, and this is the most interesting thing because this isn't in any of the Ultimate Evil or The Family. This is in Ed Sanders' manuscript, Among the Damned, A History of Ritual Violence in California. Stephen Craig Hurd claims he worked for the Chingon at his church. Not only that, the Chingon's public positions are opposite of his private positions, meaning this person is definitely living a double life. And what else?
Some people we know fit that bill, right?
Yes, exactly. Let's see, what else was there? The Grand Chingon also seemed to take a special interest in Stephen Craig Hurd, according to Hurd himself. His testimony to prison psychiatrist and law enforcement. His story never changed. It stayed consistent all the way up to his death in 2005. Now, my theory, there are multiple theories of who Robert Erickson could be. Of course, he could just be Robert Erickson. There was a Reverend Robert Erickson operating in California, in Southern California at the time. But, one theory of, like I mentioned earlier, was Charles Manson. Another theory that's very popular is Ronald Hadley Stark, who fits the description in a lot of ways. Was CIA, was Epstein in Italy in the 1980s in an Italian prison. He moved his operations to Laguna Beach, California, in Orange County, where Stephen Craig Hurd was running his Sons of Satan motorcycle gang. his chapter of Sons of Satan. And sorry, William, my brain isn't working right.
But it's not just Stark. So Stark is this interesting character,
Yeah,
who is kind of really surreptitious behind LSD
yeah,
and Intel connection, CIA.
right. And I should also mention that the Brotherhood of Eternal Love and Stephen Craig Hurd had the same lawyer, a ex-Navy psychological engineer or technician, or however he bills himself, named William Gamble. But I'm of the opinion, and this is just a theory. Of course, William and I could be wrong, that the Grand Chingon was Dr. William Joseph Bryan.
Right,
So,
which also fits the bill, because we know Bryan was into hypnotism, but also was early in the 50s giving, like, it's weird too, because it's the Four Pi movement, the Four Square Church in LA. I haven't been able to find his sermons anywhere yet, but he was known to be a preacher. He actually wrote, I think one of his books was about religious experiences and hypnosis.
Right. Well, that's really interesting, because he thought Bryan believed that when someone heard the voice of God in their head, it was just their subconscious, like they're disassociated from their own subconscious talking to them. So Stephen Craig Hurd claims to had been in contact with the actual devil since 1964. Like he called it his father, the devil. Like he claimed literally that the devil was talking to him.
Right, so he'd be called schizophrenic now, like.
Right, exactly. So he would be idea for someone like William Joseph Bryan to study.
Right, and we know the kind of timeline for Bryan. He died in 1977.
Yep.
And he could easily have been around this thing. He died I think you sent me that email. He died at the Sahara, of all places.
No, the Riviera.
The Riviera, sorry.
Which is even a mafia hotel.
Right. This is during the time of these cleanups. Like, the Intel community was being exposed for all of its wrongdoing, and all these people started mysteriously dying very conveniently. Johnny Roselli, the other mob guy from Chicago, Bryan, Stark, like all these people like just suddenly died, or if they were going to be brought in front of Congress, it was almost like that was a death sentence.
Right.
So Bryan is one of those who very dark, and I've done shows about Bryan and
right. So
candidate.
Anyways, what I was going to say is, although Stark is a good suspect, I don't think it's Stark because he was traveling internationally a lot.
Right,
like
Stark
he
is
was
really
in Europe and the Middle East, and he was going back and forth so much that, like, the fact that after the murder of Florence Nancy Brown, that Stephen Craig Hurd was going to San Francisco to meet with the Chief Devil, the Grand Chingon, would imply that he had a base of operations in San Francisco.
And we know Bryan had total connections to the Bay Area.
He had an office. He had an office. See, that's the difference between Stark and Bryan. Bryan was traveling all the time too, but he was staying within the country and mostly in California.
Right. So he had that one. Bryan has the one office on Sunset.
He has one in San Diego. He has one in San Francisco, and he has one in Atlanta, Georgia, which is very bizarre.
Yeah, that's a hard one to kind of figure out. Like, what are you doing in Atlanta?
Yeah. Now, why not Washington, D.C. or Virginia?
Stark is connected to Leary. So Stark is connected to the Brotherhood of Eternal Love, or whatever it was called.
Right. And it was in September of 1970 that the Weather Underground broke Leary out of prison. And Stephen Craig Hurd claimed to have joined the Weather Underground as well.
Correct.
As well as the Nazis.
The Weathermen, too, also is known by the Weathermen. Right. So he's kind of doing insight roles. Like before the 09A, he's doing insight roles as this Satanism. So you see this kind of infiltration. But so he joins the Weathermen at the height of their kind of activity. Like really the apex. It's really extraordinary. And he's also part of this biker gang. Like back then, it wasn't like the biker gangs you see today of a bunch of, 50-year-old retirees. These are like really hardcore, violent MFers, like savage.
Yeah. And so I mean, I the fact that the Grand Chingon took a special interest in Herd, I think Herd was joining these groups and reporting back to the Chingon.
Right, makes sense.
Like that's just my theory. Again, guys, I could be wrong. It's going to take the whole community out there to help us solve this thing. But of course,
Stark, here's the other interesting thing is Stark is close to the Process Church too.
Yeah.
So he's in close contact.
Right.
So he fits this weird bill and this whole thing among the damn ritual violence in California.
Yeah.
It's just like these guys are connected. So that's the whole thing. Like your show is like when I say tapestry or mention the word tapestry, you could do like one of those classic paranoid boards with like connections. And Leary's a known Crowleyite. Like he literally said, I'm carrying on Crowley's work. Mm-hmm. And then you see him with Stark and all these other characters. He actually Leary self-admittedly went to Process Church meetings in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
He
Tommy
was recruited.
Baumler, also the guy who incorporated the Process Church of the Final Judgment, was a wandering bishop.
Right. Just like Brian, right?
Just like Brian.
Just like Ferry.
The provenance of the information put forth in David Sylvie's book is yet to be determined, but Sylvie claims that the Grand Chingon, or he heavily implies that the Grand Chingon is William Joseph Bryan Jr.
Right. So,
right.
And it just, these things fit together.
Mm-hmm.
These like points on the map too. Like, you've got Melvin Belli, who's friends with, and that's around there. 70s is when the Zodiac takes place. Mm-hmm. And then you just have this California nexus that makes sense. Brian was just a super intelligent, but really strange guy. And the rumor is not only his connection to the Manchurian Candidate, but to Dave Ferry right around that time is that he's supposedly the hypnotist.
And if Ferry was reported to have done black masses in his apartment.
Right. So you have black magic, you've got dark like occultism, fake Christian things, ersatz Christian or whatever. They're not part of like established churches.
Yeah.
Covers. You've got one of the first killings in the cover up of JFK by a guy dressed as a priest, which is really creepy. Like one of the witnesses who knew Oswald, like there's a priest following me around. Right. And he gets pushed through a plate glass window and dies.
Right. So
that's a hit list, yeah.
That was in Jim Garrison's book. One of the witnesses that came forward, or not Jim Garrison's book. It was in the book American Grotesque. But one of the witnesses that came forward was a guy named Perry Russo, who claimed to have seen David Ferry perform a black mask. But later, that claim was disputed by
Russo was played by Kevin Bacon, so the Russo character.
Right. Judith Very Baker disputes it and says the whole ritual stuff was sort of a cover for his intelligence work.
Very Baker, we can do that offline, but my opinion, she's not a credible source.
No, I don't think she's very credible at all.
Yeah, so. She's one of those people who pops up after the events and then makes these claims. So
yeah,
I have real problems there. That's a whole nother show. But the fairy stuff is really incredible. And he was using post-hypnotic suggestion. This weird thing is also you found out through those two guys, whose names I can't remember, that Garrison knew Brian, and Brian was talking to Garrison during the Jack Ruby trial. He's literally in the stands.
The Clay Shaw trial.
Sorry, Clay Shaw.
Yeah, he was going back and forth between the Clay Shaw trial and the trial of Sirhan Sirhan. Of course, Sirhan Sirhan may have had a connection to the Process Church of the Final Judgment.
It's mentioned in this book among the damn ritual violence in California. There's like in the table of contents it's there, but I couldn't find the contents that mentioned it among the damned. Like, I don't think people realize how important that would be, is to tie Sirhan Sirhan to the process.
Well, interestingly enough, the Richard Smith INS report, there's one for her too, talking about these young, where he gives a presentation or reports to the Mormon church fathers, and talking about these young ladies who killed a baby, who are part of Stephen Craig Hurd's group, which may mean the 4-Pi movement or may mean the Sons of Satan. It's kind of confusing, but I invite everybody to come take a look at it. It's under the title "Baby Steps" on the Patreon page.
Gotcha.
And this is confirmed by police chief of the Orange County Sheriff's Department, or one of the police departments. It's in the newspapers where they about the satanic rituals happening in the mountains overlooking O'Neill Park in Santa Ana.
Right.
Fascinating that the second human sacrifice that Hurd claims he witnessed happened in March of 1969 in those mountains. I'd be willing to speculate it was probably the latter half of March, because you have another Aztec festival where heart extraction is the preferred method of human sacrifice, but also you have the equinox happening.
Right. So these guys always do stuff on dates and celestial timetables and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And this is also during the time of MK Often. And if I'm of the mind, if it was successful in the lab, then you got to take it out into the field. So, who knows? But yeah, I think it may have been Brian.
There's intel people all over the place. Brian is intel. He literally told people he worked for the CIA.
Yeah.
So you have Stark CIA, Leary CIA.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are all intel connected. So people who say like, oh yeah, these guys are working. No, a lot of these guys are in intel, or half of the intel stuff is going on. So
yeah,
that's one component of it.
Right. Right, of course. And there's also reports, let's not forget about Stanley Dean Baker. There's reports in the 2002 edition of The Family that Baker joined the 4-Pi movement after he killed Robert Salem. And that is right after he killed Robert Salem, right after he got out of the Navy, which is very interesting. If anybody is curious about MK Ultra, I suggest trying to find Stanley Dean Baker's Navy records. Because there's just something weird about getting straight out of the Navy, then going and killing a guy in a satanic ritual murder, right?
And who was the guy who came forward and said, we are programming killers and we're taking them, letting them listen? It's Narut.
Dr. Narut.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and that's also in Program to Kill. And I also did a show on Narut.
Mm-hmm.
And so you see this naval intelligence, and that's kind of like some people's kind of blind spot about the whole, MK Ultra is used as kind of like a gestalt word. A lot of these different agencies were doing stuff, and it included naval intelligence.
And
it goes
Air
back
Force.
pre-war. Yeah, it goes back pre-war.
Right.
Military, FBI knew a lot of this behavioral modification. So a lot of people have this kind of CIA tunnel vision, and it's not accurate.
Mm-hmm. Well, Brian, like L. Ron Hubbard, both claim they helped the LAPD with stuff. After Brian's death, that the LAPD got this huge $10,000 grant from MasterCard for their use of hypnosis and fighting crime. So the question is, the time that Brian spent in the Navy during World War II as an electrical engineer, by any chance did he rub shoulders with L. Ron Hubbard?
Right, he was a known naval asset.
Yeah.
And who, not Satchel Paige. What's the guy's name who was like the Mr. X in JFK?
Crowley?
No, the guy who wrote the book. Fletcher Prudy literally said that he believed that Hubbard's entire World War II career was a legend. It was an intel legend.
Really?
That was fake. Yeah, it's all fake stuff.
He wasn't in the Navy at all?
No, but he was. But like the stories of where he was at any given time Fletcher
see.
Prudy didn't believe that they were real.
Mm.
So he may have been doing other stuff during that time.
Sure.
It may have been an asset of the CIA or Intel his entire freaking life, which is really scary. Much like Brian. So like these people are selected very early. So his satanic stuff. So you can just make a list of all these guys who are really occultists.
Right.
It's a long list who are also tied to intelligence. And it makes perfect sense that Hubbard would be Intel.
Right.
For a wide variety of reasons.
Right.
But the timing of the growth of his religion is right there with these behavior modification research. And that's what Scientology is.
Well, what I want to know is what is the proximity of Brian's office to the Haight-Ashbury Free Clinic, where Jolly West had his office?
Do you know the address of Brian's office in San Francisco?
No, that's. I mean, I thought I'd try finding the Atlanta one first.
I know the address of the one in LA. It's literally like it was 2 blocks away from the Comedy Store. I don't know if the Comedy Store was in existence at that time.
I want to know, when the Manson family was like they were kissing people's feet on Sunset Boulevard. I kind of want to know like how far his office was from the Manson family.
Like they're walking by Brian. One of the interesting things is Father Zod had that funny cafe. Yeah, it was on Sunset. It was close to Brian's office, hypnosis office, like on the same street. It's probably like 3 or 4 blocks away. It's no longer there. It's too bad because they tore it down. But these overlaps are extraordinary. That's the whole thing about Killafornia is like these are extraordinarily violent people overlapping these violent crimes that people only see little pieces of them. But like, and they're also, you see this weird, they're either associated, just like the Program to Kill, they're associated with either some kind of military arm or they go into care of some doctor and they come out totally different people.
I mean, just look at Operation Chaos was happening. COINTELPRO was happening. Also, I mean, it should be known that Heard was a super racist person. Like, so
like white supremacy, right?
Yeah. He had a swastika tattoo on him. And so, I mean, him fitting in with the Weather Underground is quite questionable. Also, Heard claims that the Grand Chingon had 15 middle-aged slaves, which is, compared to Manson, most of the women he had were young. The people he had around him, men and women, were typically young.
They were in their early 20s if they were teens. So like Manson was 37 or 36. So the age differentiation was very stark, very apparent.
So there's a question: were these slaves just other MK Ultra scientists observing Heard and the rest of the 4-Pi movement? Yeah, like their role is slaves, right? But really they're observing and taking notes.
Right. I mean, it wouldn't be surprised. See, that also fits kind of the Brian profile because he had so many women around him and abusing women and hypnotizing them and stuff like that. So the potential's there. Like he literally got busted. And usually when those crimes happen, it's probably part of a larger pattern would be my opinion. Right. So he got busted for 4 and he got drawn up.
And although coincidental, in June of 1970, it marks the first day of another Aztec festival where heart extraction is the necessary method of sacrifice to appease the Aztec gods. Considering Stanley Baker, the July 11th murder of James Schlauser, a young social worker in Montana, where Baker cuts out the dude's heart, that is the last day of another Aztec festival where heart extraction is necessary. And I wouldn't even mention it if it fell on the middle of the festival periods or something like that. But it's also it's the same as the Hand of Death in Florida. The heart extraction, right? It's you have the El Salvadorian expats, training in the Everglades to go take back their country during the Contras in the 1980s. That Henry Lee Lucas, of course, he is a questionable source unto himself, reported. It's so there really, I think that there really is something to it. Now,
well, you also have to add to that the fact that the process bounces from UK to the northern Yucatan and then to New Orleans.
Right.
So they spent some decent time right there where the sacrifices were done, this old Mayan stuff.
If Sanders found a larger connection to the process, I think he's keeping it close to his chest, because when you read Among the Damned, he kind of writes that chapter differently than the other chapters.
Interesting.
Yeah, so he formats it. If you read the actual PDF file, now just in the beginning in certain spots, he does it like lyrics on a
right
page.
I'll show it to you. Yeah, he does it right here it is, like this.
Yeah,
like he writes it a little different. The other thing is, like, you got to remember too, it's not just the connections of these killers, but also Sanders is connected to Maury Terry. They're friends.
right.
They're writing blurbs for each other in their books and sharing information.
Right.
So you can see that this book, this ritual book, Among the Damned, Ritual Violence in California, has similarities to the Ultimate Evil by Maury Terry. And it makes perfect sense. So you see this movement and different characters.
And if you notice in the part about the 4 Pi movement in Maury Terry's book, The Ultimate Evil, he says that the name, the Erickson, he just doesn't say the first name. He doesn't say the name Stephen Craig Hurd. He says that a biker, although you have to remember, none of the chapter of the Sons of Satan in California had a motorcycle.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
These guys all have nicknames too, like any drug group or even the Manson family. They have nicknames for a reason, because they want to hide their real identity if they're engaged in just constant criminality, which Hurd was and Stark was. So they usually have some kind of weird nickname or a fake name. So this Erickson, it just maybe somebody liked it because he looked like Leif Erikson or something like that.
Yeah. I think that's what it was, Leif Erikson and all that. Let me scroll down on the Patreon page. There's something interesting about the name.
While you do this, I'm gonna read from Sanders' book.
Okay.
Because this kind of goes into it. It's a really early page 6. It says the leader of these barbarous 4 Pi chop-ups was known somehow as the Grand Chingon, and according to Hurd was a big guy with red hair, a member of the straight law abiding world, known by the name of Robert Erickson, or Erickson, aka Leif Erikson. The red-haired humanoid, keeping Hurd strung out on heroin, acid, blood gulping, drinking the 6th cup of lies, and mumbo jumbo, was Hurd's guru of gore for several years. Erickson, or the Grand Chingon, according to Hurd, had around 15 humans who operated as his full-time slaves, doing anything, anytime, anywhere. And he may have been part of a larger group of Chingongs who operated in defined districts in various areas of California, organizing the evilness movement. Manson Charles, for instance, was called the Grand Chingon in my presence by his disciples on several instances. So literally somebody was calling Manson the Chingon.
Yeah, if you go to the Patreon page and scroll down to "This is good food for thought," there's the math. This guy posted his name, his handle is Vasa Crow. A very interesting, like the mathematics of the name, the 4 Pi movement, and how it connects to the zodiac.
Right. What am I looking for?
If you scroll down on the Patreon page, it's look for the header. This is good food for thought.
There it is.
Now that's really interesting to consider. I suck at math myself, but that might be something. The reason why they call it the 4 Pi movement, there's definitely some sort of math connection. Of course, it could just be a throwaway name.
Right, but it looks like the symbol for the process and a swastika. It kind of looks like if the center is a P,
Right. Wait, are you on this good food for thought?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right here.
Okay.
The other thing that's interesting is like these guys have like Herd had this rear mentality that fits in with kind of Nazi ideology
Mhm.
of reincarnation. So like it doesn't matter if you kill people because they're just going to be reincarnated just like I will be reincarnated.
Right. Well, actually, the Herd makes a perfect agent because he actually does have a death wish.
Interesting.
Like he is quoted to have said he hopes he gets killed so he can go to hell and get revenge on his enemies.
Wow.
Like this dude was badly abused by his stepfather, who actually worked at the American Aeronautics Corporation. Is that the name of it?
I don't know.
Let me see here. See, we need Jeopardy music.
Yeah, really.
Sorry, guys.
But yeah, this book by Sanders, which was never published, is really something else. Among the Damned. There's just a lot of information, and there's pieces that are missing. And look how he like wrote this stuff out. But he seems to have some kind of contact with the doctors who knew Herd because he's got like quotes from the thing. 4P
Right.
operated also in the Santa Ana Mountains, O'Neill Park in Orange County.
Right. That's the March human sacrifice where the man fought like hell not to be killed. And it didn't work out for him. But the American Aeronautics Company in California, that's where Stephen Craig Hurd's dad worked. And I think that's where Stephen Crawford's uncle worked as well. So that's your Arliss Perry connection there.
Herd has hinted that the Chingon in his public stance utters a philosophy opposite to the uttered philosophy of the nighttime seclusion of blood drink. He has himself never been arrested. He's so cool, according to the Chingon's young aide and weirdo. That is Herd.
Mm-hmm. Also, Sanders believes that the Grand Chingon may have visited him in jail. So, whoever can get past security, right, undercover as a priest or a hypnotist helping law enforcement, helping William Gamble, perhaps, that would be Brian, because there's definitely no way Ronald Stark's getting past security.
Right. And in certain parts of Brian's life, he's super clean cut. He
Mhm.
looks like a super clean cut, like 50s, husband or whatever. He wasn't.
Right, but he said he had the beard. And
later he had the porn stash and beard.
Right,
combo
right. And he had like the brown hair. I guess it's either red or brown. I can't tell from the picture.
Yeah. Here's the thing you mentioned, Herd. He was forceful, dogmatic, in the belief that he has been communicating with Satan since 1964.
Yeah.
He encourages him to get rid of people so the patient Herd can drink the 6 cups of lies to please him.
Yeah.
Really
yeah.
crazy.
So the devil was literally talking to this dude.
Right.
For those of you who say satanic crime doesn't exist, just look up Stephen Craig Herd.
Yeah, it's a joke. This is from Herd. All of life is a cycle. One first dies, then is reborn, dies, and then is reborn. To refuse to kill someone when you feel you should do it is disruptive of the natural order of things.
Yeah.
It's just super graphic stuff.
Another interesting thing is, he died in 2005 of a brain aneurysm, and it took 5 years before anybody knew. Like the prison didn't tell anybody.
Didn't tell anybody. Interesting.
Yeah.
Herd lived in Southern California with periodic visits to his devil guru in the San Francisco area.
Yeah. That's where he was going after they murdered him and his 5 or 6 other cultists murdered Florence Nancy Brown. They were going to go visit the Grand Chingon at his church in San Francisco, or maybe his office that doubled as a church. Who knows? It's hard to say. We may never have the answers to this. It's like the JFK assassination.
Herd claimed that he committed murders upon the command of his guru of evil, who called himself the devil. Ask Manson. So there it is. And then it overlaps with the Frazier, Mullen. these characters. It's just incredible stuff.
Right. Now, and another thing that might indicate that this is some sort of operation. Of course, we know that the CIA has, been a front, or cults have been a front for intelligence work, such as the Finders cult, or the Moonies, the Korean CIA, or the Solar Temple, and I guess it's in Europe. Is Heard claimed to have seen the body of the willing sacrifice of the woman be disposed of in a portable crematorium. Well, the patent for the portable crematorium didn't come out until the early 2000s for the public, but you also have to remember that Lockheed Martin had a facility in Santa Cruz, and it's really not unusual for them to have technology that's decades in advance, such as the GPS. We had GPS in the 60s and 70s before the public even got their hands on it, right?
Right. Here's another one. Now, this is kind of an interesting thing from Sanders. This is from page 3. Superstition, belief in ghosts, belief in demons and magic is unfortunately on the upswing in America, particularly in California. Precise and logical examination of the human soul is not being criticized here, but rather the emergence of bad-hearted individuals who use techniques of criminal hypnosis and fascist indoctrination to capture wills and psyches for violent purposes, for greed, and for insane hungers.
Yes. And I believe it was Heard himself. He recognized that someone was effing with his head. Because
Mullen was like that too. Mullen went through an incredible personality change. I could not believe that this guy, he had been given extreme doses of acid. And,
right.
Right around the time Manson.
That's the sort of the weird thing about Baker, because that would imply, considering not even a month out of the Navy, he kills Robert Salem. So that would imply that he was being given heavy amounts of acid in the Navy.
Narut, right around that time. Well, Narut actually came out in the late 70s. That's when his stuff. He's if you talked about Narut, the reason he spoke is he just thought everything was going to be exposed. Yeah. And then they just they're like, no, it's not, you bastard, shut up.
Right.
And then I think they demoted him and you never heard his name again.
Mm-hmm.
He really messed up. He really told what was going on behind the scenes.
Right. Well, was Baker one of those guys?
Yeah,
last time I checked, and when you escape from federal prison, you get more time, not less.
Right.
Just because you do a lecture or teach a class on transactional learning doesn't get you less time. You have to be that is such a ridiculous thing. Because there's people who you killed people on drugs as well who got life in prison. But somehow this guy gets only 15 years. It's weird. It is so weird.
One of the other things, too, that Sanders mentioned is these dog skinnings and dog bleedings. This is all very consistent with process stuff all the way across the country. Mm-hmm. So all the way in New York City.
1965, there were reports of dog skinnings and killings and mutilations in Santa Cruz. And this happened in 72 as well. Interestingly enough, we know the ones in Santa Cruz were done by Edmund Kemper and his friend Bob.
So Kemper was killing dogs too?
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So he graduated up.
Who was doing it in 65? Not Kemper.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah. So, and interestingly enough, Marianne McLean went by the name Hecate. And it's, only fitting that dogs were sacrificed to Hecate. Also, dogs were in the Aztec religion were considered your guides through the underworld. So whenever
makes perfect sense.
Yeah, when a human gets sacrificed, a dog would get sacrificed.
Right. It all fits together of secret occultism and stuff like that.
Yeah, most definitely.
this book, Sanders, and the research is really just incredible.
I really wish he would have finished it. I mean, I just feel sad that he was being harassed so much that he had to just drop it. You know, if he wanted to have, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say another occult connection to that area is Robert Anton Wilson, who was around there and a Crowley follower.
Yeah,
he connected to all these guys, other occultists, and McMurtry, and all these people, and writing the Illuminati trilogy right around this time. A lot of heavy duty stuff was going on.
Right. Now, initially, police believed that Anton LaVey was the chief devil, but he was cleared. I really don't think it was Anton LaVey at all, because I just don't see the Church of Satan had a pretty intense vetting practice. Like you had to write like an essay and a thesis to get into that, to belong to the Church of Satan, you know, to become a member.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody has any questions, guys, you can
please
just
ask.
Yeah, feel free. I mean, somebody asked, was there a correct connection between Anton LaVey and Charles Manson? Well, as a matter of fact, there was.
Yeah.
You want to answer that?
Yes. Which one of the girls was it?
It was not Squeaky. It was one who was the stripper, right?
Yeah, she was a dancer for Anton LaVey.
Yeah, I forgot her name. I know her face.
Yeah.
She was also like
Susan Atkins.
Susan Atkins, yeah.
Yep. Susan Atkins was a dancer for Anton LaVey. The
other connection, guys, is the fact that Kenneth Anger lived with Bobby Bouzoulet. And Bobby Bouzoulet was going to be Lucifer in Lucifer Rising before the Manson murders. So that's a direct connection, very heavy-duty occult connection between Anger, Bouzoulet, Manson. And Anger is very close friends with LaVey and was the godfather of Zena LaVey. So if you would talk about those connections, these are, and they were also part of this writing group that it was kind of like a black magic salon. Like, there was one in Southern California that involved some of these other writers, but this one involved heavy duty people. And one of the guys was a publisher for Scientology.
Yeah.
So there were some heavy connections between very close personal connections between LaVey and Manson. There's no question. It's very close. He was close to Bouzoulet, and when the Manson family stuff went down, Anger fled. He went to freaking UK. Like, he was like, I got to get out of here. And there's rumors about him in McGowan's book, and also his connection to the Getty family. Anger has a very close connection to the Getty family, who's kind of like one of their closest. Gavin Newsom is like close to the Getty. It's literally in business with one of the Getty heirs. So it's a small world, guys.
Right. You know, I wonder about the Companions of Life cult that Manson was supposed to be part of, led by Father P, where they have the exorcism of Pussycat.
I don't know that.
That's in the family. I think it's chapter 14 of the 2002 edition. Or it might be chapter 12. I'm not really, I don't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, it's just something weird about the guy calling himself Father P, and then you have the 4P or the 4 pi.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah. You guys, people check out Todd's Patreon. He has got a lot of stuff on there.
I need all the help I can get. That anybody who wants to help us figure out the secrets of the 4 pi movement, come and join. Everything is free. You don't have to pay anything to subscribe. Most of the research material is right there on the Patreon page. And
the Among the Damned Sanders, his books and his correlation, connection to Maury Terry and everything, that era was so freaking dark. I think Sons of Sam was like mid 70s too, right? So
76 is when it started.
What is it? The what was her name? The Patty Hearst thing was 74. With the
70 was that 74 or yeah,
I could be
74.
wrong.
The S no, you're right. It's 74. It's the SLA. And then you had Thomas Creech. And
what year was Creech? What years was Creech? We did a show on Creech too.
Well, Creech started killing in 67. But remember, he claimed to be part of a satanic cult with Ted Bundy. And then we have that thing that that Watergate, the guy connected to Watergate.
Edgel Crow.
Edgel Crow wrote to Anne Rule about witnessing a satanic cult gathering in the woods of Washington State.
Right. That was the whole thing, is that Bundy was a Satanist, right? Like that was it. Like it was a secret thing. I've heard stories that he had some kind of entity that he was in contact with.
That's what he claimed. He claimed that other side of him he called the entity, the part that wanted to kill. Like he felt like he was being possessed. But interestingly enough, his time in San Francisco, he has no memory of.
Wow.
So
he has amnesia.
Yeah, there's a chance there's some MK Ultra stuff happening. Of course, Thomas Creech, he spent time in San Francisco as well.
Right. Miss North Musing says Brian Wilson knew Manson. Yeah, he was close to the other Dennis Wilson. But yeah, Brian Wilson had took LSD and then was in the care of a psychiatrist. You're right. Like, there's probably more to that story, guys. Son of Sam Dog connections. That's right, Malin. No question. Manson definitely remember a process. That was the whole. See, the thing is that Among the Damned happened after Sanders published The Family and the process sued him.
Right.
Over chapter 5, which is extant. But so he was gun shy, I think, about writing this other book, Among the Damned.
Right. Right. But remember, guys, he won in England. He won on the process's home turf, as Dana Dudall says. So
right. Bruce Davis went to England. Yeah, I think that Davis was close to Scientology. Like, and one thing that you have to remember, this nexus of like esoteric knowledge, is like I can show pictures of like Manson knew hypnosis. So you see this theme. I just mentioned it by Sanders in his book. And then also Scientology, according to Helter Skelter Bugliosi, which also alleged that the process visited Manson in jail. Another thing that they stated, the number one selling crime book of all time, by the way, is that Manson went into a Scientology thing and said, I want to get trained in this, but I'm a clear. And Scientologist said, there's nothing else we can train you. You know everything. You've reached clear, whatever the hell that means.
Yeah.
Malin, not only have I read Tom's book, I interviewed him back in 2019 when the book first came out. I recognized it as an important book. And I interviewed him before Rogan got to him.
Right. I asked him if he ever came across the name Erickson in his research. He never got back to me. So
he hit the big leagues, man. That book is like super bestseller.
I think he's working on a second one.
Well, the rumor is he's working on a documentary based on that book with Errol Morris of all people.
Oh, wow.
Who also wrote Wormwood, which was about the death of Olson, right? Another CIA LSD thing.
Yeah.
North Musings. I believe Richard Allen Miller taught Bundy either tarot or astrology in WSU in their experimental programs. People have looked into Miller. He's a member of the OTO, guys. And he's done the rounds, kind of like Lavenda, on the podcasting stuff. Like, so, and that's the whole thing, is that I think it's a known fact that Bundy sat in classes with Richard Allen Miller. If somebody can verify that.
Well, yeah, the guy Richard Allen Miller is a total creep. Like he came on to my friend Melissa. I'm gonna plug her channel right now. Check out Clusterfuck 101 and check out her content. But yeah, the dude was trying to come on to her.
How recently was that?
Oh gosh, maybe last summer.
So very recently. Wow.
Yeah,
I don't think he's a spring chicken. I think he's an older dude.
Yeah, and he claimed that he was building a special school for gifted kids.
Wow, that's even scarier.
Yeah. I definitely don't trust that guy. And Creech was in class with Richard Allen Miller.
Creech. Okay, that was it.
Remember
So we did that.
our
Yeah.
episode with George?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, this guy. I mean, what does he write on? He like literally, he is a Swiss Mason and belonged to the OTO, the AA, and several German Blue Lodges. He's initiated a number of pagan cults, including Church of All World, 1974, Coven Camelot, Star of the North. And you can go to his website. God.
Well, of course, the Church of All Worlds has a connection to Leonard Lake.
What's the connection? I don't know what it is.
The Church of All Worlds, one of the first locations was in was it Greenville, the Greenfield Ranch, or wherever Leonard Lake was living. The communion, the hippie commune for a bit.
Was that the one was it in California too?
Yeah, it was in California.
Wow. I mean, that story in itself is just so vicious. That guy died at 39, and it's just had so many people missing. But it was in the 80s. He was like crazy in the 80s. Later. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think he was ex-military too, actually.
Leonard Lake? Yeah.
Yeah.
Charles Ng was.
That's where they met in the military, right? Wasn't Lake and Ng met in the military?
No, they met through a mutual acquaintance. Because Charles Ng, I think, was stationed in Hawaii.
Right.
And then,
get this here. You want to have a bad day? Do you know what the inspiration for his kind of like murder rampage was?
What?
John Fowles' the book The Collector.
Right. I think there's there's an Australian serial killer that's influenced by The Collector as well.
Do you know what else John Fowles also wrote?
What?
Too? A book called The Magus.
Oh, Epstein reference.
Yeah. The Magus is about a dude on an island.
Yeah.
It literally is like, and what was one of Epstein's many nicknames? Magus.
Yeah.
This is dark, man. That's how dark Epstein gets, guys. It's so freaking dark. What he was up to was super dark. He was very much an occultist, Epstein was.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no question about it. No doubt in my mind. And it overlaps with all this stuff. It's so freaking crazy. There was a film by Michael Caine, with Michael Caine, called The Magus. Have you seen that? I need to watch it.
I've seen the first part of it. I haven't finished it yet.
I heard it's kind of boring, but
I have a big movie list I have to watch. Like, I have a lot of movies that I have to get through.
That's one of them.
Like, some of them I've seen before too. Like, I have to, rewatch it for like research for other stuff. But yeah, no, guys, I guess this is like a pitch video to get the community on board into researching the 4-Pi movement and not just dismiss them as something that isn't real. There are some very bad actors in the research community who just
don't name their names.
I'm not
some of them are.
I'm not going to name anybody's names, but they're just you can't trust them at all.
You wonder why they're there too, which is also
right. They got ties to the far left.
Yeah, and if people say that there's no such thing as snuff films, that's what Leonard Lake was doing. He was making snuff films. Those are valuable. So people pay for that stuff. That's the rumor that what Kenneth Anger was doing. That's the rumor that McGowan said.
They showed a snuff film on the news in 2012. When ISIS slit that reporter's throat, what do you think that was? That was a snuff film.
Say that again.
Everybody in 2012, or most of the people in this country watched a snuff film when they watched that the leader of ISIS slit that reporter's throat.
Right. So
that was a snuff film.
Right.
Yeah.
Some of these, the context is also the sexual aspect of it. Like that's some of the snuff is like there's, it's a woman and bad things happen and then they die. But yeah, there's no male on male snuff films. There's that one guy. His name was Mignotti. He's from Canada.
Mm-hmm.
It was called One Crazy Ice Pick and Victim or something. I forgot the name of this. He had, I just remember it was an Asian kid that he was his victim and he filmed it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, One Ice Pick or something. Somebody in the chat probably knows it.
Yeah.
But that's a real snuff film. And they caught that guy in Europe, but he had a fake name. I forgot his name. But there was rumors Polanski supposedly was making films of some sort on Cielo Drive.
I think Polanski was a pedophile. I mean, he was a pedophile.
He's convicted.
Yeah.
He was convicted of raping a 14 or 15-year-old girl. He just wasn't sentenced. The kid's a killer, that's right.
Yeah.
That's who the guy was.
So how long have we been going through?
We're at literally the 1 hour mark right now. We have 260 live listeners. Thanks everybody for listening.
Do we have any questions?
Yeah, anybody got any questions? Let me see if I can put these up. I'll go back through here. I didn't see any questions. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Hey, rise to liberty. Jacob. Satan is infiltrating different aspects of society. Called me surprised. Yeah, right. Greetings from South Carolina. Richard Allen Millions crafted the original Navy SEAL mind control LSD experience.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. An occultist doing that. Wow, what a shock.
Telling you what, guys, get Stanley Baker's Navy records. I don't know for sure, but I bet you'll find something in there.
Yeah.
Because it just think about this for a second. The guy claimed to have supernatural powers. Like he claimed to have killed Jimi Hendrix with his mind or something. You know, I kind of feel like that behavior would have been in the Navy too. It's not like it's just something new as he gets out of the Navy.
Somebody asked Todd, "What's the point of all this murder black magic thing?" What do you think? Do you have an answer?
Well, considering the time it was in, I think it was to create chaos. And I think Dr. Joseph P. Farrell's work helps out a lot. I think the powers that be were they know that there's something to the occult, and they were throwing everything they could at the walls, and this trying to see what was going to stick, especially with like the material scientists, the people involved in MK often, right? Because we had, you had like UFOs going on in like the 1960s and 70s, the Kecksburg UFO and stuff like that. And you had all this occult stuff. You had the Seance of the Nine that featured Jack Martin, a wandering bishop. So I think the elites and the people in power believed that there was something to it. And plus that we don't know what the Soviets were doing. We don't know what kind of cults were going on in the Soviet Union. So I think that, they did what they thought they had to do. And it just ended up being very evil, essentially. Kind of the means justifies the ends type of thing. William, would you say that?
Yeah, I think the Operation Chaos was to scare the living daylights out of the public. And forestall any kind of social or political evolution or revolution. Because I think people are angry about the NOM and social change and things like that. So this is
especially with Fraser. Don't forget, like they thought that the local police department thought that the stuff with Fraser was going to trigger a civil war. Right? Between the straights and the hippies. So, I mean, California was on edge. You think that the riots in Portland in 2020 were something? The stuff happening in the 60s after the assassination of Martin Luther King and the assassination of RFK.
Both 68, like literally 4 months apart, I think.
Yeah, it was a powder keg. The whole thing was ready to blow.
So why not stir in some more chaos, right?
Right, and then there's also a question of Soviets infiltrating our country. What's that group? The Students for Democratic.
Yes, or something.
Yeah. The where they the Weather Underground came from, essentially. And Arthur Brunner, like one of the things I put on the Patreon is this guy giving a lecture who knew Arthur Brunner. Let me see if I can find it for you. Who talks about Brunner being part of that same group?
Arthur Bremer.
Yeah,
Bremer. Yeah.
Right here. It's
plot to kill George Wallace.
Yeah, the Brunner connection to the plot to kill George Wallace. Yeah. Fascinating stuff.
The basis for Taxi Driver literally is Bremer.
And Brunner's brother worked at the same horse barn as Sirhan Sirhan.
I'm sure it's just a coincidence. Sure.
Yeah.
In Santa Ana, where they're having satanic rituals about
where Stephen Craig Hurd from.
About 2 years later. Yeah.
Not only that, I mean, of course, this is, according to the mainstream, this has been debunked, but a group of a prisoner, I might have been Oklahoma, claimed that a satanic cult was responsible for all the cattle mutilations from 1967, 63, or 73, and 75, claiming that the group who was performing these mutilations was called the Sons of Satan. Considering that none of the members of the Santa Ana chapter owned a motorcycle, is it possible that the satanic group, the Sons of Satan, sprouted from the motorcycle group? I mean, it's kind of a thing like the right hand isn't talking to the left hand.
One of the things that Hurd's instructive, much like Crowley or even this guy Miller, is they join every freaking group they can find.
Yeah.
And that's really what Crowley even did like 100 years ago. He wasn't like this very strident, rigid person of like, this is my only thing. He said, join them all. And that's what he did.
Yeah.
So when you see all these, and that's actually what like is a common theme in Satanism and the O9A in particular with these inside roles is like, you infiltrate everything. Like that's the whole idea.
Yeah.
Is to infiltrate and change and manipulate.
Right.
It's part of the satanic kind of paradigm.
Right. And I mean, if the 4 Pi does have some sort of connection to the USR Cold War spy craft, being, because you got to remember every church, every institution, like William just said, was infiltrated. And it was infiltrated by both groups, the far right and the far left.
Right.
The
infiltration's still happening today. It's just a standard principle.
Right.
It's something you got to be aware of. There's a lot here, guys. I mean, go check out Todd's Patreon. I'll put a link to Killafornia. This is what it looks like, so you can see this nice graphic here.
And check out Killafornia on the Walter Bosley channel. We just posted a new episode about True Detective. We're doing a True Detective series right now, and hopefully we'll have William back on to discuss the man who knew too much in the JFK assassination, which I've been getting really heavily into.
Yeah, Nagel. He's a really interesting character.
Yeah.
He's like another one of these guys like Stark, where they pop up in curious places. Behavior modification, JFK, spying stuff, ex-military.
What do you think? What do you think of Mark Lane's work?
Very curious. He's kind of, I put him in the Judith Very Baker file because he shows up in weird places.
Yeah,
and it seems like a limited hangout. He's connected to Jonestown,
right?
Does anything?
He was the first person to question the Warren Commission stuff. He wrote Rush to Judgment.
Rush to Judgment.
Yeah. Was that 66 or something like that?
I'd have to read it. I mean, his real name is Levin. Like he's not. You know, so I don't know. I think that he was. That's a really good question. I haven't. I'd have to read through his stuff, but I heard that he had very sus. It's my opinion, and the information that I have is that he had very sus connections to Jonestown.
Yes, I think
you want to talk about infiltration, Todd.
Yeah. He really, I think he did have connections to Jonestown. I'll have to go back and watch that episode of America's Untold Stories again. But yeah,
if you look at Ruth Payne, for example, the so-called handler, what I would consider kind of a handler of Marina and Oswald. Like later on, there's a really good documentary by Good, where like they had her. She was like going to left-wing like meetings.
Yeah,
and so she's presenting herself as a left-winger.
Yeah.
And people are like, this girl's sus. She's taking pictures. And it kind of outed her as an op.
Yeah.
She's passed away, but like, it's almost like she got deployed again, in my opinion. So like deployed again. And also her feelings of her like Eastern elite stuff is just not questionable at all.
Right.
So that's another example of somebody, and these, I mean, it's like Colston Westbrook, the guy who was so-called the handler of DeFreeze. Like he's a black guy, but he's also from the military and worked in Operation
the Phoenix program.
Thank you, Phoenix program. And there he is with like left-wing authors, anti-war people.
Yeah,
and it's a fox in the hen house.
Yeah. I
mean, because he's black, he got away with it, so he looks like this. Lane is like a left-winger. Hey, I've got my credentials and I'm writing books, but are you like? There's people like that in the modern alternate media too. So I mean, that's a whole nother show. Maybe that's a Patreon.
Don't even get me started. Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
We can do a Patreon only show. You and I put it up.
Yeah. Well, but, you know, I told you I got to deal with Johnny Depp now. He has a house 6 minutes away from me.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
I've done a lot. I mean, you can do my whole series on Johnny Depp and Damien Eccles. Like he did the book tour with him, Life After Death. So.
Yeah.
You might have Damien Eccles show up in your neighborhood.
I hope not. In
my opinion,
why people are moving? Everybody's moving to Tennessee, or at least Middle Tennessee now. So I don't know why.
Because it's nice there, and people like the South. They like Chattanooga and all those areas now.
Yeah.
People don't have to be in the cities anymore. Well, there's no reason for people to be in cities, so they're looking for like lush, rural, green areas that are reasonably priced. That's probably why they're in Tennessee. The Bible.
Yeah, well, I mean that's what Depp got. Depp lives in a huge gated community, and you know, it's was it Lost River or Hidden River Lane up there on Old Hillsborough Road?
What city is it? Did you mind divulging?
Oh yeah, sure. If you Google it, they'll say Franklin, Tennessee, but really it's Grassland.
Grassland, Tennessee.
Yeah, so it's Franklin city limits end at of course no one listening is from Franklin, I don't think. But the city limits ends about at the Publix, a little bit past the Publix. Then you're in Grassland, right? So you can have fireworks at 4th of July if you want to. And if you keep going straight down Hillsborough Road, you'll get to like Nashville and stuff like that. I'm guessing he's here for like the music stuff. But
interesting.
Yeah, it's not Franklin, it's Grassland.
Grassland, right?
Which I don't even know how to describe, because we are like on the edge of, we're kind of on the edge of Williamson County and Davidson County.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think Ruth Payne passed away, guys. Pretty sure she's no longer among the living.
I also live like 15 minutes from Candace Owens.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
They're all coming to live around you. They want to get some research stuff done, man. Maybe you'll
I think certain people like Candace Owens just want to donate broken furniture and make my life hard.
Well, you would know. You probably have some insight, bro.
Yeah.
You never know. You never know what you'll see. I mean, I talked to Wayne Madsen the other day. He's like a longtime journalist, but he said he always talked to the bartenders and the valets and always tipped them well, because they were like the best tips, because they saw people in their natural environment, So it wasn't like people who were reporters who were sympathetic or anything like that.
Oh yeah, trust me, if you saw Candace Owens out and about, you wouldn't sympathize with her at all. I'll just leave it at that.
Do you have anything you'd like to add? So the Killafornia, which I'm showing right here on Patreon.
Yeah.
Check that out.
Guys, I'll just say this. Despite Killafornia, I'm not much of a video personality. So like with these videos I do with William and stuff like that, sometimes it takes me a while to get going, to get my brain going. I'm not as smooth as other researchers, but I thank you so much for bearing with me. And I hope you check out the Patreon, and I hope you check out Killafornia on the Walter Bosley channel on YouTube. And that's it.
Todd, thanks so much for your time. Todd Wood, Killafornia, and we talked about who is the Grand Chingon. There's these leaders within these satanic groups. It's not uncommon. They all have weird names and fake names, and somebody was going around doing bad stuff in the late 60s, early 70s. There's no question about it. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks, everybody. We had 300 live listeners. So
wow.
really appreciate it.